Welcome to episode 74 of Build Your House Yourself University by BYHYU. I'm your host and fellow student, Michelle Nelson, and together we'll learn the basics of home design and construction and demystify the building process so we can make smart decisions and build quality dream homes with or without a general contractor. Small is a relative term. You might think of a tiny house when someone uses the term small house, or you might think of an 1,800 square foot home. Wherever you fall on the spectrum, there are some definite benefits of building a smaller house. Let's talk about them. Number 1, a smaller house is easier to clean and maintain. The smaller the house, the fewer spaces and surfaces you'll have to clean. A smaller house requires less time, energy, and effort to maintain both the interior and exterior of the home. Number 2, smaller houses are generally less expensive. They cost less upfront and in the long run. With a smaller house, not only will you pay less to build it, but insurance, taxes, heating and cooling, and electricity will cost you less too. Plus, you'll pay less for maintenance done on the house like painting. Number 3, a smaller house can be less stressful. Things and space, they're nice, but typically the more things and space you have, the more you have to think about and maintain. With a smaller house, you'll have fewer stress-provoking thoughts like, I gotta find time to clean that room, or it'll take me all weekend to wash my windows. Number 4, small houses have less environmental impact. You'll need fewer materials and resources and less energy to build and maintain a smaller house. If limiting your impact on the planet is important to you, you'll definitely want to consider building a smaller house. Number 5, smaller houses encourage family bonding. With fewer rooms, members of your household are more likely to hang out with each other. If there are fewer rooms where family members can escape from each other, they're more likely to hang out together. And although there are some downsides to always being together, it really does allow the family to interact with each other more often, and that encourages bonding and greater communication. Number 6, you won't be the obvious choice for hosting family gatherings and overnight guests. Okay, family bonding is good, but spending too much time with extended family members can be stressful. Maybe hosting dinners and overnight guests is your thing, and if that's the case, you'll want a house that's large enough to do that. But if you don't like the work and responsibility that come with hosting your extended family and friends, building a smaller house that won't accommodate too many people offers you a great excuse to politely decline your weird Uncle Joe when he's looking for a place to stay over Memorial Day weekend. Number 7, it'll force you to get rid of clutter. A smaller house gives you less space to store stuff, so you'll be forced to purge your household of unnecessary clutter, things that you don't need or don't use. You'll also be less tempted to accumulate lots of stuff because you'll have less room to store it. Number 8, less decorating. Although some people really enjoy decorating, for those who dread making decisions about paint, flooring, tile, and furniture, with a smaller house, you'll have fewer decorating decisions to make. Number 9, you can afford more high-quality materials and finishes since you'll have fewer materials to buy. For example, with a smaller house, you'll most likely have fewer windows. So maybe you can afford super high energy efficient double glazed windows. And if you're building a smaller house with fewer walls, you may be able to invest in 2x6 walls with thicker insulation instead of standard 2x4 walls. Before we get to the last reason, I want to remind you to subscribe to this podcast so that you never miss new episodes as they come out. New shows will automatically be downloaded to your computer or mobile device. That way, they'll be waiting for you in your queue when you're ready to listen. And you won't have to try to remember the name of the podcast or the time it's released. To subscribe, just search BYHYU, BYHYU, and click the subscribe button, or go to BYHYU.com. All right, number 10. A smaller house will likely appeal to a larger market for resale. Because a smaller house is typically more affordable, a larger percentage of the real estate market could qualify for a smaller house, potentially making a smaller house easier to sell. Please remember that the purpose of this podcast is simply to educate and inform. It's not a substitute for professional advice. The information that you hear is based only on the opinions, research, and experiences of my guests and myself. That information might be incomplete, it's subject to change, and it may not apply to your project. In addition, building codes and requirements vary from region to region, so always consult a professional about specific recommendations for your home. That's all I have for you this week. I hope you'll join me again next week for another episode of Build Your House Yourself University by BYHYU.